All right, welcome back. Just wanted to start out by saying I saw a comment on the last video that was saying the more that I watch this, the more that I realize that it's probably just worth building the back end. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was basically like instead of doing this, is what I'm doing, which is just working with a already set up back end that's supposed to make everything easier. It's probably going to be easier to just create your own API, your own backend, and then just store that or keep that on a server somewhere instead of doing what I'm doing, because it seems like everything is an issue, and I could relate to that. I hadn't really thought about it, but when I saw that comment, I was like, yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably actually spending more time now debugging things that should, or that I could make work myself if I was just building my own REST API and database and all that stuff. I think would be easier if I did it on my own. Yeah, but I'm in too deep now, so I'm gonna just have to keep going. Yeah, let's see what we're supposed to do today. So I've been buying these like little Moleskine notebooks, which I think are really good. They have like tons of pages in them. And a tip I got from a video that I watched with, what's his name? Tim Ferriss, is that you go through and you put a number on the end of each page, or on the end of, I think it's the right-hand side pages. And if you put that number there, then you can create an index at the start of the book where you can then add numbers, like this is what I did on that page and this is what I did on the other page. And it's a really good way to keep track of what you put inside notebooks if you use notebooks. Because I've used notebooks now for a while. I usually put down just the date of the day and then what I'm supposed to do. Sometimes I also put down like the week. So I'll put down the week and the number of the week, and then I'll write down all the stuff that I want to get done that week. And then I'll just go back to that page and every day and just look at like what are the big things that I need to get done. And it's a really good way to remember things, I think. And it's just a little bit nicer than doing it on your phone. But if I write down something randomly on one page, then having the numbers on the page is a really good thing, because then I can go back to the index, write down like on page 25, I wrote down an entry for what we did on whatever day it was. And then it's really easy to find when you go back through them. And you don't have to go through the entire book, because let's say that you get to a point in 10 years where you have like hundreds of these books, then it's going to be really difficult to find like what was the year even when I did whatever. But then you can go back and just look at like the years that you think it might have been, and then you look at the index for each book and you'll find that, okay, this is the day. I think that's a good thing, I don't know. And I also did a book that I brought with me to Thailand. And I like the idea of having like stickers that we got from the trip. So this was from the ferry, and I thought that would just fit in so well on the front of this page. This doesn't fit in that well, but this was something that we got from this little kid when we was on like a tuk-tuk, one of the days. We shared the tuk-tuk with the kids of that family, and they were just sleeping on the back. They were like, I don't know if they were 2 or 3 years old, and one of them gave us the sticker, and so I just stuck it on the front, and yeah. I don't know if anyone cares, but that's what I do. Okay, let's start programming. Okay, so let's attempt something where we just type in user ID is 1. Okay, that's supposed to be a string. And see if we can add a new user to the database if we do that, because what I've tried previously is using an already existing user ID, but that could mean that because it already exists, we are trying to create a new user with a user that already exists, and maybe that's an error. I don't know. Valid authorization header not provided. Okay, so that means that this might not be the reason, but it could be okay, user created successfully, created response user ID. Okay, so we got a user ID, da da da. And we seem to be able to get it back, but it doesn't exist in the database, or does it? Okay, so I'm gonna try running it on in a different terminal just so that I can then copy easily, because I haven't been bothered figuring out how to run Tmux in Vim mode, so I can't copy the output from the terminal, which means this is how I do it. Nej, jag tror inte. Vadå då?
Jag ville bara veta. För att den var på Pippi på stranden på Pippi.
Var det det? Men jag tror det finns hajar alltså, som man kan se. Jag tror det är...
Ovanligt att de var så långt in.
Aha. Läskigt.
Jag låg och krabblade på stranden.
Är det det? Okay, I think something happened now. So I updated the API endpoint here. Probably shouldn't be showing any of this, but this is not going to be the final project anyway. But I updated this to be a different endpoint. And now when I try to add a user, I get the error, GraphQL, blah, blah, valid authorization header not provided, unauthorized exception, which I think is because the API key is not correct. But then the question is, where do we get the API key? Okay, so now we're actually getting different errors at least. And that's a really good thing because that means that something is happening. Sending create respect, error creating user, validation error, sub-selection required. Sub-selection required for model user. Okay, so this is good because it means that we're doing the right thing. We're just not... basically what's happening is it's saying that we need to add, which is why I couldn't add a user here, because we need to add matches, we need to add likes, we need to add blah, blah, blah. But I don't know how to do it so that we don't have to add those things. Okay, so I'm not really sure what the problem is, or I think I know what the problem is. It seems like this stuff has to, like, we want to have some sort of relationship with these things so that we can basically query a table based on a user. So if I'm the user and I want to find all the matches that I have, then we want to use the ID of me to say, hey, to the database, hey, look at all the records of likes in this database that is related to this user. And so this is really simple to do if you're doing regular like SQL or that stuff. It's really simple. It's a little bit, when you don't work with it every single day, it's like a little bit headachy, trying to think of like, how does the relationship work and what's the proper way to do it. But here, I don't really know how to even go about it, because it feels like the way that it's set up here, we basically have user likes, which has one user. And this, I think, corresponds to this thing. So likes has many. So it has many of these things. So one user will have likes and it has many of these instances. But the idea that I'm thinking of is that each, I don't know, it's so hard. Like, I don't understand it, so it's really hard to explain it. But I feel like what's happening here is that what I would like is to have one user here that is the original user, that is the person doing the liking. And then I want to have another list of users here, which is the users that have been liked. So ideally, I think we want to have a table where we have the ID of the user doing the liking, and then just a list of all the IDs of the user that they have liked. But I don't know how to do that. So I think it should be not has many, but it should be has one. Has one. Because I think it has one list of likes. But then, and liked by is the same thing. That is just one going there, but this then has many, because it has many users that have been liked. That should be correct. So we should do the same thing for all of these ones, I think. CI word has one. One. Okay. And that, I think, is the correct way to do it. Okay, and now it worked. So it was basically that error that was the problem. The CloudFormation deploy failed. Okay. Okay, so here's the problem. It seems like if we want to create a user, then we can try submit, but it says please fill in this field. So we have to fill in the liked by, matches, matched by, dislikes, disliked by. And the only way to fill those in is if there's already users in the database. And so the other thing I tried is, well, if I want to, maybe I can start by creating the likes and I can just type in something here. But the thing is that that has to reference a user. So it's sort of like, I can't add a user unless there are likes, and I can't add likes unless there's a user, because of the relational situation. So one of them has to be independent, I guess. And I'm not really sure how to do that, because I feel like there's an obvious way to do it, which is just that I just manually, I don't add relationships in my code on the client side. I just add strings, and maybe that works just as well. I don't know. But yeah, because what we could do is we could just manually add, okay, the user ID is this user ID. That's what we're doing anyway. But I don't know, because I know that there's like, I don't know what that's called, if it's called pointers or something, but I know when you're doing SQL, you can actually like say that things are related, I think, and then you can do a certain request based on the fact that these records are related. So you can join tables and do all sorts of things, which I don't know if you can do unless you explicitly have said that this table, the ID column here references the ID of this user over here. I don't know if that's possible. So that's sort of what's stopping me, because I could easily just be like, okay, fuck it, I'll just write down the ID myself and just add an array of strings, which is just an array of different users to the record, and that will work, I think. But I don't really want to do that, because I want to do it correctly if I'm going to do it. And so if that is the correct way to do it, then that's how we should do it. But right now, I don't think that's the correct way. All right, so I'm not gonna waste this sun, so I'm gonna sit out here for the next bit. I only have about 30 or so minutes, but we're gonna try to get it to work. So I don't know why or how to do it. I don't know if the tables need like a key for us to be able to actually do the join tables and all the SQL commands that we'd want. And if you have to have relationship stuff in the database when you set that up, there's a lot of things I don't know. We're going to test a couple things now, and hopefully one of them will work. But I don't really know how to read up on this either. So, because I feel like this would be a common issue, but I don't think, or I don't really know, I mean, how to research it properly. Okay, I don't think ChatGPT is going to be able to help us. I feel like maybe I'm just explaining it in the wrong way, but it's just not, I don't think this is what we're supposed to be doing. Um, Okay, so it seems like maybe what we need to do is we need to actually create a third thing. So title, content, tags. So it seems like maybe we need to do something like this where we create a model called like, and this has the user and then the liked user. Okay, I don't know what's going on, but if you look here, we can see it took 3 minutes 35 seconds for this deploy, 4 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, and this was like the longest that it took. It was 5 minutes and 58 seconds. And I've done these deploys so many different times, and it's very rare that it takes more than 2 minutes. I've never had it take more than like, I think 6 minutes is the record. Right now we're at 10 minutes and 24 seconds, which is just like when you just want to do a quick change and you want to see how things are going, and you want to test it afterwards. I have to wait now for this. Like I can't test it before this deploy is finished. 10 minutes, like it's gonna be, I don't know how long this is gonna take. All right, so after 20 minutes waiting, it failed. And user nested amplified data, user nested stack resource. Resource already exists. Okay, but I don't think we're going to get anywhere today. So I'm going to come back tomorrow, or it's going to be next week for you guys, so on Monday, and see if I can get this to work. But I really feel like what I said at the start of this video, where at this point it would be, I'm seriously considering just rewriting the whole thing with my own API and my own, like creating my own REST API database, all that stuff, hosting it on AWS still, but just as like in a container, my own code, all that stuff. Because this is just too difficult. I don't understand how it could be this. I mean, I've documented every single minute of writing code on this app, and you can go back, you can watch this. And pretty much every video is about 3-ish hours of work. And this is day 22. So that's 22 times 3 hours. And most of that time has been spent just dealing with bugs on AWS. Or not bugs, probably, but like dealing with bugs that I create, but just trying to figure out how to work with AWS or Amplify. And at that point, it's like, is it worth it? I don't know. Maybe I don't know if this is like if I knew more, then maybe I would know if this is worth it or not. Right now, I don't know enough, I feel like, to know if it's worth it, because what I'm sort of banking on is that I think in the future, this will be worth it. Like when this app becomes more involved, and once I've invested the time here at the start just understanding how everything works, once I learn that, then I think it will be worth it. Because then things are already set up, Amazon is stable, all that stuff is kind of like someone way smarter than me has built all this stuff. Or at least way better at this stuff than me has built all this stuff. And if I build it myself, it probably will not be as good. And that's sort of what I'm thinking. That's why it's like, I don't really think it's worth me building the whole thing myself, because there will be things that I don't know that I will fail at or do weird things with. I'm really tired now and just exhausted from waiting literally 20 minutes for this just to tell me that it failed. So yeah, we'll come back in the next video. Hopefully get this to work. I don't know though. See you in the next one.